Templeton Conservation Commission, 105, 160 Patriots Road, Conference Room, Monday, August 19, 2019, at 6 p.m. We need to review last month's meeting. Has everybody read them yet?
Reading now.
Not yet? Okay. Do that. So we can okay those.
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
Huh?
Make a motion to accept the minutes from last month.
I'll second the minutes.
All those in favor to accept the minute?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, then from there, Chairman's report. As you know, we did what, two site walks, it's just me and David, because you went around. We went out, we went and did one over on 4 Albert Drive for a garage and a breezeway. There's no issues over there. And then we went over to, where else did we go, David? I forget where else we went. Anyhow, same thing, there was no issues with either one of the two we did. They're signed off and they've got them in the other room. Could you please sign in? Everything's okay there. We have one forest cutting plan. If you would like to look at it. Let's start with that. It's been fairly quiet, so, like I said, we don't have a secretary, so I get my stuff piecemeal. I go to the office every other day now, make sure there's nothing else to be done. We're hiring if anybody's looking for a secretarial job, anybody wants to apply. Because we've had 2 secretaries leave, we only had 2 secretaries. Now this cutting is for up at the Fernal School that they did in June. I don't know if they did that on the land that we gave them or they did it on their own. Okay. They did it on Lot A? Okay, that was a lot that the town gave over to the, sold to the DCR. And that's their cutting plan for it. Oh, also, we had a meeting last week. Mr. Carter, Adam, myself, John Henshaw, and one other person over behind the elementary school in Baldwinville. I guess there's a piece of land that is owned by the town. The people who are buying the elementary school wanted to buy a segment of that land or buy the whole thing, but they are trying to not sell the whole thing because the guy doesn't need a whole thing, and they want, if they can get it to work out with all the neighbors, the abutters, to split up that and give each piece back to the abutters if they're willing to take it, but they, of course they'd have to pay their taxes on it, but to leave a 24-foot walking path over there for the Concom and for anybody else who needs to go out there to look at things, and maybe eventually turn that whole area to put in a walking path down Baldwinville all the way up in the back of Baldwinville Road over towards that way. That's what they're trying to do, but whereas it goes down behind the old the old fire station, they don't want to, not have a, right of way for the conservation or anybody who wants to walk out there. But
Okay.
they're working with the people in Baldwinville that are abutters, and they wanna see if they will take the land. If not, it'll stay under Concom control. It's one of those little ones I didn't know we even had.
Okay.
It's only an 80 by 80 foot.
Oh, okay.
It's not very big, so. Basically, I'm waiting for your file before we can get that. Once you get tied up with somebody else coming in. What's the cutting plan? I don't know, you ever see a cutting plan? No? No? Okay. That's it. Is there anything you guys have to say, or anything you guys wanna bring up?
Nope.
Okay. Okay. What happens with a lot of these, we'll get this after they've done the work. We're supposed to get it and have a 10-day period to look at it, but we 99% of the time, we don't. We got one 2 months ago. It was done in 2017, we got the paperwork 2 months ago. Cutting plans, people who set them up do not make sure we get all them all the time. Okay. So now we just have to wait for Laurie, so we'll give her a couple more minutes. Sean is calling Zach. Zach calling him up on Zach, he's on that office. So we'll more from him when Zach gets back to us. Alright, whereas Jordan's still here, I'm not gonna say anything about it. But that's just it. So Chris, didn't want you to fall asleep. You had your head down. Oh, you're counting all the lines in each one? Awkward silence.
Packed house tonight, huh?
Huh?
It's packed house tonight. Packed house tonight.
Why?
Here, it's packed house.
Oh, well, yeah, it's unusual. Yeah.
It's really.
I hope we get as many at the planning board meeting.
Yeah.
Go down and check with her one more time, see where she is.
yourself something.
That's for later. That's the first one we're gonna do. While you're waiting, do you have the green cards? And the list of abutters, please. So we're starting with you anyhow. Can you verify those, David? Thank you. They're all there, huh? Everybody responded. There she comes. This will go in this file. Thank you. Okay, it is now 6:22. We will open the first hearing. Well, you didn't find the thing for, well, anyhow. Okay, we're going to be opening up Mr. Matson at Lot 2C, Lamp City Road, 129 Mason Road is where he's from. We'd like to come on up, whoever's gonna present. You got maps and stuff, you present them to us, and then you can have a seat. Is that the same map we were working with?
That's the same map.
Same map, okay. We do,
Mark Popham, Merchant Sanitarian, representing Matson Homes, Inc. Ken Matson is also here, if there are some questions that I can't answer. But basically, the notice of intent is for the construction of a single-family home, along with attached garage, driveway, well, and septic system. The house and driveway are within the 100-foot buffer zone, and the well also is. The lot has wetland along the northerly edge of the property, pretty much the entire length, and I did set 6 flag locations on that property, which are shown on that plan. The septic system, the testing for that was done a few years ago. And in that area of the site, there's been very little site change since that time. And the rest of the site is currently, has been filled at some time in the past. Does not appear to have ventured that filling activity before Mr. Matson owned it. Does not appear to have entered any wetland resource based upon the topography there and the extent of tree growth, mature tree growth. And the intent of the site plan is to essentially stay on top and rework the area that has been previously disturbed. There's a silt fence shown on that drawing, which would contain the work to that existing plateau and the banking associated with the prior filling. The nearest element to the wetland would actually be the well in order to achieve the 100-foot setback from the proposed septic system, which is situated in the furthest corner away from the wetland in the lot.
Wetlands are here, wells over here.
Correct. There's not an extensive amount of filling involved in the plan. It essentially raises that top area to get a crown toward the house of about 2.5 feet, and then that tapers off toward the perimeter of that disturbed area. So there's no need to extend fill past the current banking that's there. So what you see disturbed pretty much is what within the buffer zone is what will look like when it's done. And one advantage is right now it's there's some stone and gravel and sand and a bunch of material that was brought in. Obviously that's going to get graded out, cleaned up, and you'll end up with lawn rather than kind of a denuded landscape on top of that plateau that exists now.
Well, that's what we noticed when we were up there. You have one great big pile of boulders like this. What's your intent with that? Are you gonna put them around the top edge so they don't go over the hill? Or do you know what you're gonna do with those? Because we don't want anything else being pushed off the edges.
I don't wanna be going into wetlands. I never really noticed any really big boulders.
Well, they're about this big.
Anyway, we'll probably be using them for fill around the house someplace. It's not intended to go anywhere.
I did notice that some of the other piles had tar in them and cement.
Yeah, there is and we were concerned about that, we dug into them, and there is a little bit, but it's pretty clean. And then before I bought it, I did some testing.
So somebody had come in and started to bring in a bunch of fill in this
Quite a
Apparently
while
they
ago,
had-
though.
a while ago,
Yeah.
And by the looks of it, that whole area is completely filled where they're gonna put the house.
Yeah.
So, that's a lot of land that was filled, probably at one time was all wetlands, but because we don't know that, we can't say it was.
Right.
But it appears to have been one time. It's about 8 feet up off the original bottom.
Gotcha.
But because we only saw the wetlands around the outside edge, there's no problem in that. Anybody else?
No, just the mitigation.
Just the mitigation, okay. Okay, now, what are you gonna use for mitigation? Use some wattles on top of the hill, or are you gonna take them down at the bottom of the hill and put the stuff around the bottom?
It's shown at the bottom.
Okay, that's what we thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we wanted to make sure, okay.
Yeah.
You're not pushing anything over the hill. Okay, so when you get that mitigation in place, please let us know so we can inspect it and allow you to go, because you have, 20 days, I believe it is? And, okay, can I get a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion to accept the plan.
Second?
A second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those in favor? So noted. Okay, what we'll do, we'll get you the paperwork, sent out to you, the NOI, and
Okay.
we'll sign it tonight, just so we'll have it here, and then we'll get it out to you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Oh, it's no problem. You wanna mail to the address I have here,
Yes.
Mason Road?
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. Okay. Well, all right.
What was your time ending?
Huh? Oh, I'm sorry. Time ending 6:27. You wanna start with this one, sign it, send it this way? And we'll sign it, send it that way. Now I gotta find out, where's the signature page? Do we have a signature page?
Where's our signature line?
Did you find the signature page? No signature page, right?
Is it missing a page?
There's a page missing, the signature page. We'll get it afterwards and we'll sign it before we leave.
That's fine.
Being new is kinda hard to do anything. Oh, okay.
Yep.
It is right there, I'm sorry. How did I miss it?
There it is.
Oh, right here. Sorry.
Where do we sign? We sign down here? There's usually like 3 or 4 lines for us to sign on.
No, that ain't the signature page. There's a separate page.
You're gonna have to wait.
We're gonna go to the signature page. Okay. We'll put this aside, we'll get to that after. I guess we will move on to our next person, which is Farnsworth Road, Christine Symonds. And I'll ask Mr. Symonds to stand out in the audience for his.
Do you want to fill them in on everything, or just give an overview?
Yeah, that's great.
I don't know who wants to do it.
I'm gonna give you the overview. You represent Mrs. Van Dyke.
Yes. And I'm sure if I miss anything, there are other people here that
Yeah.
can fill in the blanks.
Yep.
Great, thank you. My name's John Weaver. I'm an attorney for Kathy Van Dyke, who owns the property on Farnsworth Road. Kathy wanted to be here tonight, but just wasn't able to break the appointment that she had. So I'm here instead. But this is pretty straightforward. There's an area of about 2.2 acres in
That's
3
this one.
distinct lots that are proposed to be the subject of conservation restriction. The conservation restriction will comply with the form under state law. Kathy owns the property. It's in the process of being sold to the Smith family, who are also here.
Smith.
Good solid name, yeah.
No, it's his
and-
name, that's why I said it.
Oh, excuse me. The nameplate is there for my benefit. I apologize. The conservation restriction is the quite frankly long delayed end result of a settlement agreement between the Christine Symonds and Kathy's husband, who is deceased. That dates back to 2007. Kathy's husband died
2 years ago.
2 years ago, thank you, and she came into possession of a large number of properties, and she's in the process of trying to sort out issues that are present at some, convey others, finish developments, etc. And she has had her attention on this relatively recently. There was an order of conditions that was attached to the property that has since been discharged, and so this is finalizing this conservation restriction. Finding an appropriate grantee to supervise the conservation restriction is the next part of that process.
Now, did anybody bring paperwork with them? All made up, no?
Well, we weren't. Oh, you mean the actual conservation restriction?
No. The paperwork that we have to sign, because we gotta put our name on it, plus we have to have your name and, you know.
So there was some confusion on at least my part as to what the proposal before the Conservation Commission was and what was going to be discussed tonight. So if I know that both the Conservation Commission and the Select Board has to approve it, I wasn't certain if the Commission would be prepared to do that tonight or what the process was at this point. And I wasn't certain if this was a information session or something more formal.
All right, can you explain how much land is in this restriction?
About 2.2 acres.
2.2 acres, and it goes to what, the river that's back there, the stream back there?
I don't,
Nesto Brook.
Huh?
Nesto Brook, which feeds into the Ware River watershed.
Okay, and it has been done so, reassessed so that we get the right points, so we know what we, they gone back out there, reassessed it and marked it, so we know exactly what they don't own. I hate to say it that way, but what is behind you, so you know where your land ends,
I believe the points are there where the land ends. Are you talking about where the restriction starts?
Yes.
Okay.
so the last time, and Jesse Bradco, who's from the North County Land Trust, is here as well. We've been
Right,
working.
right,
Okay.
they're gonna
So
take care of
they,
it.
but they looked at the property recently and discovered that some of the iron pegs weren't there.
That's what I'm meaning.
Yeah, and so to the best of my knowledge, Mrs. Van Dyke has been informed of this. To the best of my knowledge, those either have been installed or will be reinstalled shortly, matching what's on the surveyed plans.
Right. So we will be informed when they're ready, and then we can sign everything off. Everybody okay with signing off the restriction up on 3 Farnsworth, lot 3
So-
Farnsworth Road?
So is it just lot 3 or it's lot 3?
Lot
and-
3 and
Lot 3 and
4.
4.
Lot 3 and 4.
It's behind lot 3 and 4, the
Okay.
restriction.
And these folks are living there
Right, so
now?
started living
Okay,
there.
And both will be conveyed to the Smiths.
okay.
Okay.
Both lots, so the lots are being sold from
Yeah.
Van Dyke to the Smiths.
Correct.
But
Now,
we are
you
holding
combining
the
it as one
concept.
lot?
We'd like
We'd
to,
like to.
but we don't know what all of this will mean once we get through the sale, so we're waiting until we get to the other side.
Yeah, I think all we need is a walkway out to look at it. I'm not sure, is that, it was established that way, correct?
Yeah, we have a plan.
Yeah,
It's a plan that has all of the, all the markings where the conservation restriction actually is. We walked it with Jassy, we have walked it, like, with you in the past. other
That was years ago,
conservation-
yeah.
Yeah, she has the plan. I have the plan, I can give it to you. And it's basically the wetlands, the conservation restriction. And it just follows the stream that cuts through the property, goes out back. It just follows all of that and goes behind. A lot of it's marked with the wetland flags.
Yeah, one question, did you talk to the selectmen? Were they willing to sign it?
It'll have to go before them.
Huh?
It has to go before them.
Oh, okay.
The-
So you still have to go before the selectmen.
But what's the,
Get them
just,
to sign.
just out of curiosity, why is the Concom instead of, I guess the Concom is the first holder of the
Right.
conservation
Right,
restriction?
and then the second, because the state would not sign off on it because they had no people at that time, way back and whenever they originally, that was the excuse I got. The state wouldn't, they suggested the town take care of it themselves.
Okay.
So,
Does how many conservation restrictions does the Concom hold right now? I'm just curious.
well, we have a whole bunch of stuff.
A whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, oh, a whole
Okay.
bunch of stuff.
I've
Yeah,
just-
we got
I've
some
just
on
never
the
been
Outer
out
River
there.
Road, we got some over
Okay.
on, where's the other place? Well, anyhow, yeah, we got about 15 or 16 parcels that we hold in our draw. We get to look at it, we got the 94 acres down off Dudley Road,
Right.
which we own with the DCR.
Yep.
And, yeah, so.
Would we be going out to do kind of like a walkthrough once a year?
Anytime we know if those are in place, we can go make
At
us,
the-
we can go
okay.
take a walk with it. It'll be a good day for a walk.
Yeah. Okay.
It'll be a good Saturday morning thing. It's only 2 acres. come
Yeah,
on.
it's not that big.
That don't take long to walk the 2 acres, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can essentially see all of it from the driveway.
All right, so, can I get a motion to accept?
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, you want to finish the more? Go ahead.
I just have one request, and I understand that this is redundant, but Mrs. Van Dyke did ask me to request this, just that when there are future decisions to be made, that abutters would recuse themselves from the commission or the select board when decisions are made about the Conservation Commission. I understand that
Why
that's.
he's over there.
Right, no, but and obviously the Symonds are the current abutters, but there are others and, or potentially future abutters, and I understand also that state law would prohibit them already from sitting on boards that make decisions, but my client did ask me to make that request.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Okay, thank you.
That's why this is what we do. It's part of our board. We don't want any conflict of interest. It's to prevent that.
So this seems like this is a mutual, everybody wants this to happen.
Everybody wants it, everybody
To make
wants
this
to
deal happen.
finally get rid of the problems and.
Yeah.
The Smiths want to buy,
Yeah.
Kathy wants to sell,
Okay.
And,
I'm sure you would
I
like
want
this.
restriction.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
and the other thing is with the Smith, they have to make sure, I don't know if they combine it on the one deed, or if you have to go through zoning board to have it combined.
So it's going to be conveyed on one deed as 2 lots.
As two.
So I'm not, and the residence that's currently there is on lot 3.
Lot 4.
Oh, lot 4, excuse me,
they're on
lot-
4.
Lot 4, sorry, didn't mean to
No, there's just junk
cast
on lot 3.
confusion.
Lot 3's not buildable.
Yeah.
Mr. Van Dyke came for variance, and he was denied because it
Yeah.
doesn't conform to lot size.
Oh, yeah, and that's something that, it's better if you can get the 2 lots put together, even with the town, too. I forget if it's zoning board or planning board that you have to do that with, but, you know, you're better off doing it and getting it into one lot, and you have 1 tax bill. You got 2 bills, you got 2 of this, 2 of that.
Generally, when you do a deed, I thought it was the actual deed that makes a conveyance, isn't that?
I'm not positive how that's
Sometimes,
done,
Sometimes I thought it
because
was
I don't know if the town has to okay it or not.
Yeah, I don't think, because sometimes it's conveyed with one deed, but the intention is to keep those 2 lots separate so they can be conveyed separately going forward.
Yeah. But it's, you know, it's easier for the landowner if it's done that way. And
That's our preference anyways. Do we just reach out to the zoning board to start having that conversation, or?
Once everything is conveyed, then you reach out to, I believe it's the planning board that
Yeah,
you
I think
start
it's the
with.
planning board too.
It's an A&R.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
basically,
it's
it's an
not-
A&R, which is done by the planning
Oh,
board.
okay.
And it's not, it shouldn't be complicated.
I got a question. If they're gonna record the plan from 2007, which
Mhm.
shows the restriction, why don't they get the plan approved A&R ahead of time? And then when that plan gets recorded, would that suffice?
No, it doesn't work that way.
No?
It's as it is, goes before the board, the planning board.
Yeah, but before they conveyed it, if they did that, they did the A&R.
Have to ask.
Just
Yeah,
that would
our-
save a step for them.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk, but our preference is to do it as quickly as possible.
We just want to own the house.
Yeah.
It's best to get as much, get it as done as soon as you can get it done, the easiest way, rather than a year from now, 6 months from now. Somebody come and say, well, you didn't do that. Let's get it done and over with. Okay, as long as everybody's in agreement.
So what do we, if we make a motion to accept, we're accepting that we're fine holding the conservation, it still has to go before.
That is correct,
It still has to go before the select board.
right.
And again, if that condition could be added, just so, again, I understand it's duplicative of state law, but I know my
Yeah,
client would.
but
thank you.
nobody on this, in the neighborhood is
Exactly, yeah.
on the board.
Thank you.
Sits on the board, and that's, as of right now, there's nobody on any board that's out there. So, okay,
Excuse me, I'd just like to clarify that there's no, because there was discussion about having a joint CR or,
could you come up to, I can't hear you.
okay, there was some discussion, which is why I'm here, about having the town be the primary and North County be the secondary, or vice versa, or only North County.
Well, the town would have to be the first, and you'd have to be the second.
So are we still, is
As far
that,
as, yes, as far as we're concerned, you are,
we're
but,
still.
but it has to be okayed by,
Sorry,
your next step is the selectmen to make sure that they're gonna sign it, and once that gets signed,
And if
But-
North County is still being considered as the secondary grantee,
Yes.
that would have to go to North County's board for approval also.
yeah, okay.
and I think one of the points you're trying to make is that there's a chance that the board might not approve
Right,
that, so that the
absolutely,
town would have
and
to
then
accept it.
we just have just be us.
Okay.
But first, we gotta get the selectmen to sign it before we can sign it. That's the thing. Okay. So up on the selectmen's meeting, and they're okay,
And I
I
assume,
second the motion.
and I
All in
assume
favor?
they'll like the council for the town will review all the language in this,
Uh-huh.
right? It's not up to us to review the details of the
No,
conservation
it's up to the
restriction.
selectmen to review it,
Okay.
and then we will sign it. We've got the basic thing right here, but.
Yeah.
That was another issue, is that the final form might change between now and the select board.
Yeah.
It's,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, so as soon as you get those taken care of with the selectmen, I guess we can go from there.
Okay,
We're all set with it.
great.
And this is over at 6:42.
6:42.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Here.
Bye, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
How's they don't supposed to know who you are if you don't have your...
See you around. Yeah, bring the trash out.
I know who I am.
You too, thank you.
Now. Gee, what is this? We got the TV?
For the air conditioning.
Let's go with this. This one's throw away. This one's all set. Matson Home, Lamb City. Has to be finished. Let's go with one of his. This goes with his. Excuse me a minute, Al, I gotta go to and now, it is now 6:44. Mr. Drouin apparently wants to talk about something, so, would you like to come forward?
Sure.
Yes.
This is about, property that, I asked for a site walk and a notice of intent for
Yep,
on, Baldwinville Road.
yeah, we did it.
You did it. And I guess all the paperwork was submitted and I was just here for the meeting for that purpose.
We have never received any paperwork for a, notice of intent or anything. I've never seen any paperwork for it.
Seriously.
All we have got is the, sidewalk. No
Oh,
other paper has been presented to us. And besides that, you have to go to the planning board before you can come to us.
for what reason?
Because there's A&R, you're gonna be putting a road and all that up there, it's gonna be development. You've gotta get the development okay through planning board before Concom can do anything.
I thought conservation had to approve the, I know we have to go to conservation before the road, putting the
Right.
road in, I know that.
Right.
But we have to go to conservation to agree with the wetlands. I mean, you wouldn't look
Oh,
at
yeah,
the
we
wetland.
agreed, yeah, we agreed
do?
with the
Okay,
development,
all
that
right.
was no problem.
That was no
But-
problem.
But I'm saying, that's,
But
nothing else
isn't
is,
that,
Huh?
isn't that what a notice of intent is for?
because it's, there's a lot of wetlands right there, you're gonna have to go through the wetlands, so how do you expect not to have a notice of intent?
Right, well, that's what I submitted, was a notice of intent. The thing is, I gave
never
it
s-
to,
I've never seen it.
I gave all the paperwork to Mallory before she left, I guess. So it's-
Mallory you
yeah,
gave
I
it
did.
to?
I brought it all
We-
in.
No, none of us have seen it.
Yeah, that's who I gave it to.
No, all she gave me was the,
She may not have given it to you, I guess.
that's all I got.
Really?
I thought everything else went over to the, building inspector.
Yeah. I'm not ready to build yet, that's for sure. A long way ahead of that.
Yeah, a long ways, because you gotta get the road okayed by the fire department. you gotta-
Right, which I'm also dealing with right now.
And
And
highway
we have-
department,
Well, we kinda need conservation just to say, hey, this is the wetlands, had it,
yeah,
wetland, we had it surveyed, and you went out there and saw that.
Yep, it says, flag placements, okay, all flags in place.
And you agree with all that, okay?
Yep.
We accomplished
Oh,
that.
there was one missing, but,
There was one, what, flag missing?
yeah, it
Was
probably, it probably got knocked off.
Oh,
Knocked
there's a
off.
lot of them.
Yeah, there was.
It was way too many.
There was a lot of them.
Yes, there was a lot there.
$20,000 worth of site work, and you know, they did a topo, they did a lot of stuff out there, not just wetlands.
Yeah, 'cause we haven't seen any,
And you haven't seen any of this paperwork.
I haven't seen any paperwork, we haven't seen any, drainage, or we haven't seen any, road or anything.
Right, right. Well, this is just the first step, to come to you first.
Yeah.
That was the idea, knowing that there's wetlands out there, and we're coming to you first, but we came to you.
That's all
The
set.
intention was with a bunch of other paperwork
Yeah.
that I thought you had. But I was looking around on the table and I wasn't seeing any. And I'm going, well, maybe they have it behind the desk somewhere.
Do you have a copy with you, Al?
I have nothing with me, cause everything was all in one. He didn't give me any of that stuff. I just kinda submitted the whole package.
I wonder if it went to the building inspector and nobody else saw it.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it on the building inspector's desk either.
Nope.
yeah.
Nope.
Well, maybe we can find it
Yep.
tomorrow in the, someplace in the, when's your next meeting? So we can go to that next meeting.
Next meeting is, third Wednesday of next month? Third Monday of next month.
Maybe we can get on that agenda with that paperwork, one way or the other, if I have to resubmit it. If they have to redo it, they have all the
If it's
technology.
there, I'll
and-
find it.
Yeah, it's probably there somewhere.
But, whereas, you know, I don't know what we can do with it until after planning board.
Well, I just
allocated
wanted,
it.
I guess the idea was that you're gonna look at that
Yeah.
and look at the paperwork that we submitted. You're gonna agree to, that's what you saw when you were out there, kinda thing. I thought you had a copy of the actual print too, didn't you? When you first went out there?
No, this is all I got.
That's all you got.
That's all I got.
All we had was wet feet.
Oh, yeah, we did. We had that one map to show where they were.
Show where the flags were.
Right,
Right.
right.
And that was
And that's-
Perimeter.
fine, but one was missing.
But one was missing.
Or it could have been on
It could have
a
been,
piece of stick that maybe it fell down or
Yeah.
disappeared.
but pretty complete, I mean,
Yeah.
all intents and purposes.
yeah, that
All
was-
right, I guess we'll move forward. We're just trying to
I'll
find.
talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll stop
I'll look
by.
for it
All right. I'll be seeing you tomorrow morning anyway.
anyway, yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Well, thank you for your time.
What about your other site out there?
Oh, okay, let's talk about that a little bit.
Let's talk about that a little bit.
I have, two building lots, is what they're saying, that I did perks on. And, I had an engineer go out there and, mark out, like, on that lot 8, for instance, which is lot 8 to me, is the one that's near the wetlands, next to, I think Grimley owns that land, that house?
Who?
Grimley, is that who owns it?
Oh, he lives, yeah, well,
Are you talking about Caruth Road?
he's there somewhere, yeah.
Okay.
He lives
Caruth
somewhere.
Road, what there is a lot there, and I had him go out there and stake out the wetlands, and he gave me a 100-foot buffer away from that, and I went and perked away from the wetlands there. So what I have to do that, about getting the perk, is the next thing he has to do is come in, he has that marked on a plan that I,
This is all I got.
Right, well, that's what you have, okay, well, let me show you that a little, just to show you a little bit. But he does have it marked out, see, what this is just a preliminary plan to start off with. I mean, this was surveyed accurately, but these lines here, this is a 200-foot from, I'm not sure what they call it, the bill for wetlands protection for, Rivers Act or something like that, what do they call that?
You mean Chicopee River?
Yeah, whatever that was. And here's a 200-foot one, and this is the 400-foot one.
Right,
And we came in and perked right here, out of that.
okay.
That's what we perked. So we were out of that area. He's gonna come in and mark what this is. He says there's laws to be able to put a single family in as long as you have a certain criteria. And to let you know what that is, what he told me, if you have an acre and a half, which is a weird thing, but if you have an acre and a half inside this kind of land, this 200 foot and 400 feet, if you have an acre and a half of that, you're allowed to put in, on a 2-acre parcel, you're allowed to put in a single family house, 3-bedroom, septic system, septic. That's what you're allowed to do. There's certain, we're gonna have to go through that whole thing with the state as well as with conservation. But I perked right here. That's where I perked. So I stayed out of the zone, okay? Just to let you know. Okay, and then this one too I perked, right here. But he also looked at that, there was no wetlands there. I live right, I live right here,
You live right there, yeah.
right? And this is where he perked.
This is the other one. Supposedly this was perked before, or did you just write perk to get it?
I just perked it.
You just perked it,
Yeah,
okay.
right there in the front, more or less.
Okay,
And there's
because-
no wetland, I say there's no wetlands, he's an expert, he came up and said there's no wetlands. That's why I wasn't worried about getting you there first, and all I did was cut it up just to get a machine in there to actually dig a hole. Because if you dig a hole and you don't have a perk, then you don't have a lot, then it's over with.
Wow.
But we had to get the machine in, that's all.
Isn't there wetlands on this one right here?
There's wetlands, but not that close, no. Not that close.
Well, we haven't seen,
But we haven't dug out there.
we ain't seen these yet, so.
Okay, we haven't dug out there, and we will be addressing that at another meeting, hopefully soon, maybe even that next meeting. we maybe be able to get him to get, I'm just trying to get him to move. Believe me, I'd like to be further along too, being this time of year. And he should be coming in with the wetlands and mark it and doing a site walk. He should be marking it, doing a site walk like he did with this other parcel that I was here for tonight, okay? So there's nothing here that's, now, that's shady, or I was going over that board's head. I had checked out, I should be 100 feet easily away from the wetlands in jurisdiction, just to let you know.
No, that's fine.
And we will, see, the thing is, you kinda need a perk to know what you're doing. And he told me there's no wetlands, so we can perk. And then we'll, after we get a septic design, that's what you really need, is a septic design with a house on it, to know what to cut. So I'm kinda waiting for that, so I can mark where the land's gonna be, that I'm gonna cut, right? Then once I get my cut marked out, then I'll have you guys come over and do a sidewalk.
Yeah.
Shouldn't that be the way it goes?
Do you still have to be 2-acre lots?
Yes, they do.
They do, okay.
Yeah.
Two of the lots that we saw are under the 2 acres, according to the paperwork.
Oh, really? Cause,
One is
now-
1.9888.
Right, this one right here, this one right next to me is not big enough, but this isn't subdivided yet. This is just when the surveyor went out there, he said, I'll cut out a couple lots and see what you got. That's all that is. We are not gonna take this shape on the lots. This is just one parcel of 8 acres, a little less. Okay, it's one parcel of 8 acres, tad less, and we're gonna subdivide that and come in with a plan to the planning board. So we haven't done that. Right now, it's just basically one parcel at this
Now,
point.
being the Chicopee River headwaters up
Uh-huh.
that way, have you checked with them that?
Yes.
it's all gonna be
Well, I
done?
have not checked with them, but I checked with the engineer and the wetland specialist. And he actually has been out there and he surveyed it. He surveyed the wetlands, which you could actually go out there and look at it, but we're not ready to submit it yet. He
Yeah.
actually surveyed the wetlands and marked it.
Yeah, because I've received 3 phone calls so far.
You seen 3 so far?
I've gotten 3 phone calls so
I guess
far.
I should've went to you to let you know what I was doing first, so you wouldn't be all shocked about it. That's what happened.
Well, it
That's what
happens.
happened. People,
Yeah, it
people
does.
follow me around, I guess. But anyway, that's what happened. So I did not go in any wetlands or do anything that I wasn't supposed to.
No, he didn't say you did.
Okay.
He just said that he saw
Oh,
the
was
sign
that-
out there, the 2 lots are for sale.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I do have signs on it, because I'm told by him there won't be an issue with that. This one for sure doesn't have the wetlands on it at all, according to him, at least not within the jurisdiction of where a house would be. And this one here supposedly is out of the wetlands, he already did, I might even have a print with me that might show it. I'm not sure, he doesn't give me much information. He's like doing the process of doing it, and I don't have it on me.
No.
Let me just see if I do.
Since you were here, I figured I'd ask you
Yeah,
about
well, that's good, I'm glad you brought it up, because I knew that somebody called, and I figured that wouldn't be, whenever you're doing something, people hear about it. And I wanted to also say something to you too, I own another piece of same piece of property actually, on that larger parcel, and it comes out kind of on near Skelton, Rio, and area lives there, it's like a 50-foot right of way, and I have some fields out back, and I wanted to just cut the trees so I can get a tractor through it. There's no wetlands right there where I'm cutting those trees, right in the front row there. And if you wanna look at it, fine, but I just wanted to let you know that I wanna be cutting a path out there so I can access the fields.
Our only concern is that there's a lot of woods out there, and I've had several people call, see if you're gonna clear cut. And I said, I don't think they're gonna be allowed to clear cut out there.
We're not. Actually, this is a project that takes less than 30% of the land. So the rest of it ends up by actually being very conscious, very much
That's fine.
conservative for the land, for the
Well,
the
like I
purpose
told the
of
peop-
animals and wetlands and being able to use it for that. That's the whole purpose of this project. It's
Like
a
I to-
55 and over is what it is.
Like I told the people, attend the meetings when it comes up.
Right. Well, that's kind of it too, is people just jump to conclusions and they don't know. This is actually a good thing for the town and for the elderly people. Let me just see if I can find it. If I have a plan. Let me just dig through my bag a little bit while you have the meeting. We'll finish the meeting. Are we all set with me for right now?
Yeah, we're all set. We'll just,
Just let me go make a note, see if I can find it.
Close the
we'll
meeting.
close the meeting at 6:55.
I make a motion to close the meeting.
I second the motion.
All those in favor of closing the meeting?
Aye.
Aye.
I
So done.